right, that music at the beginning is awesome. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. My name is Todd. I'm here with Zilla Fantasy Elite, giving you your Week 10 waiver wire ads podcast here. We're going to highlight the adjusted line play report and some of the plays that you can get based off of this. And just as a public service announcement, I might skip over some of the very obvious ads. Like if you go to ESPN and all these popular sites, Yahoo, whatever, they're going to give you your typical waiver wire ads that you're going to be able to get. This is not that type of podcast. This is going to just go over the adjusted line play report and some things that you can attack based off of the adjusted line play. And sometimes those match up with the very popular sites on ESPN. Sometimes we recognize things on here that you can attack that aren't so obvious that you might be able to exploit in your lineup if you're kind of desperate, hit by injuries, COVID, anything like that. Some of those deeper sleepers that you can pick up on the waiver wires or something perhaps Sunday morning before that goes into effect. And before we get into everything, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. Smash that subscribe button, hit the bell so you get the alerts anytime that a video is released, such as this one. And then go over to Twitter right here and give me a follow. It is at Todzilla1337. I do tweet out Saturday or Sunday. At some point, the adjusted line play DFS plays that you can attack on the week. And those have been pretty successful so far. So head on over to Twitter, give me a follow there. Appreciate everything that you are doing, you viewers. Anyway, let's get on with the adjusted line play report. If you're new to this, left side is the pass, right side is the rush. And then we kind of have opposing things stacked on top of each other. So on the left side, we have the pass protection and the pass rush. So very first one here, defensive pass rush, offensive pass protection, and then just flipping it. Offensive pass protection for the away team, and then the pass rush for the home team. Now on the right side, it's just the same thing except for running. So the home team adjusting line yards on defense. This is their run defense, and this is the run blocking over there, and then just kind of flip-flop there. So passing on the left, rushing on the right. And let's get it underway. First matchup, Thursday night game, Indianapolis at Tennessee. Vegas line has it 48-point total. Tennessee 2-point favorites in this. And with this in mind, we have a red-green matchup here. We have offensive pass protection, Indianapolis 7th. Tennessee 31st on pass rush. They're not generating much pressure on the quarterback, which is good because guess what? Good old Phillip Rivers, he's old and he's not mobile, so he's going to have time in this game. As far as this lineup is, or this matchup is concerned, this is the only thing that I see that kind of sticks out, and that's the Indianapolis passing game. There are two plays that you can get in the Indianapolis passing game right now, and if he's going to have some time, that's probably where we're going to move the ball, especially when you look at the run blocking on Indianapolis is poor, and Tennessee's run defense is actually middle of the road here for adjusted line yards. So Indianapolis is probably going to have to move the ball through the air, and luckily there's two people that you can pick off the waivers for this. Michael Pittman Jr. just came back from injury possibly 2 weeks ago, kind of limited fashion 2 weeks ago, and then he had a pretty solid game last week. So look at him, and Marcus Johnson has been establishing himself for weeks now as a very good pass catcher over in the Indianapolis side. So with this game, I would be attacking Michael Pittman Jr. and Marcus Johnson. Nothing necessarily on the Tennessee side of concern. On to the next matchup, Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. We got 47.5-point total there, and Cincinnati is 7.5-point underdogs. The only thing of note I have for this on the adjusted line play is Pittsburgh's pass attack. So you're looking their pass protection offense is second, so they're really high up there. Cincinnati 30th, one of the worst. Pittsburgh should have plenty of time to throw the ball. And if you look at it, their run blocking offense is actually pretty poor. Cincinnati also the worst against the rush in adjusted line yards anyway. So that's kind of a wash there. Pittsburgh probably be able to run the ball just fine on Cincinnati, but where they're really going to make their hay is having tons of time in the pass game. and I do think that works out. Unfortunately, most of the wide receiving options are probably not on your waivers, but if you need a tight end this week, you can probably head on over and see if Eric Ebron is available. He has been producing points, and if he's going to have time to throw the ball here, it might be one of those things where he can get a touchdown for you, a few receptions in this game. And that's the only thing I'd be attacking from this matchup. Next is Washington at Detroit. We have a 45.5-point total there from Vegas, so pretty low. Washington actually 4-point underdogs there. Detroit is favored in there. And really, I only have two things of note here that come both from the Washington side. First, we have the Washington rushing, essentially. So we have offensive run blocking. They're middle of the road, 15th, but Detroit is 30th. That's middle of the road run blocking, but with Detroit being 30th in adjusted line yards, I believe Washington will be able to run the ball here, keep it close with Detroit, and J.D. McKissick would be the beneficiary. He doesn't receive a ton of work in the run game, but I think he's somebody that you're going to find on those main sites, ESPN and stuff, that he's going to be available and a hot waiver wire ad, I guess. And that's somebody based on this that if he gets a few rushing attempts, he might be successful there. Otherwise, Antonio Gibson's probably going to get the majority of the work there. But possible Detroit's going to be up in this game, and McKissick, especially if you're in a PPR league, would be a good ad. And then looking at the Washington defense, so we look at it, they're 12th in adjusted line yards against the run, top end of the middle of the road. And then Detroit's not very good in run blocking offense, so they'll be able to stop the run there against Detroit. And then you look, they're number one in the pass rush area on defense, which means they get after the quarterback, highest adjusted sack rate in the league. And Detroit's 21st in offensive pass protection. That's almost a red. We're looking at Washington probably being able to get quite a few sacks in this game against Detroit, and then also stifling their run game. So keep an eye on that. Washington defense, and then J.D. McKissick from Washington for this game. Next, Houston at Cleveland, 53.5-point total there. Houston 3-point underdogs. This is quite a hefty total there. It would be nice if we could get somebody from there. Unfortunately, for the waiver wire, according to the adjusted line play, the only thing I really have here is the Cleveland defense, which you can probably get off the waivers going against Houston here. Cleveland run blocking, pass rush is 18th. Houston's offensive pass protection, dead last, 32nd. They allow all sorts of pressures and everything on Deshaun Watson, and they have one of the best pass rushers in the league there, so keep an eye on them. And they're also middle of the road here for the adjusted line yards on rushing, and Houston is one of the worst run blocking offenses as well, and they might be out not Duke Johnson, but David Johnson with a concussion there. So Cleveland defense, out of this matchup, that's probably somebody that you can get off the waivers and stream this week. Next matchup, Jacksonville at Green Bay. We have a 52-point total. Solid total there. Most of those points, though, 33 of them to be accurate there, coming from Green Bay's side. And then what I have in here is the Green Bay pass attack. And they do have two people that you can probably grab off the waivers who are going to have a solid game this week. That'd be Allen Lazard coming off injury. He's got a core surgery injury. He should be back this week. And then Marquez Valdez-Scantling, if you want to go that route. Either one of those two, if you're in a pinch, would be a solid pickup. Allen Lazard would be the long-term play. If you don't need anybody this week, but you have some bye weeks coming up, Allen Lazard is somebody that I would be spitting some money towards because he's got long-term appeal, and he was producing pretty well before he went out with his injury. And then besides that, I have the Green Bay defense. I know they haven't been producing very well, but if you look at their pass rush defense, it's 11th, so almost in the top 10. And then Jacksonville's pass protection is 30th. Plus they have Jake Luton there, or Luton. I'm not exactly sure how it's pronounced, but one game of film on him, Green Bay might be able to get after him and force some turnovers there. So just keep an eye on that. Potentially they get ran over, but Green Bay should be winning in this, and I think they can pin their ears back and get after Jacksonville in this game. So Green Bay streaming defense. Next matchup here, Philadelphia at New York Giants, 44-point total, super low there. New York Giants are actually 3.5-point favorites. Is that right? That can't be right. Philadelphia? I may have wrote that down wrong. I could have swore that Philadelphia was the favorite in this game. But regardless, the only thing of note I have for this is actually both defenses, Philadelphia and New York Giants. So if you look at Philadelphia pass rush, 5th in adjusted sack rate. New York Giants just kind of middle of the road there for pass protection. Philadelphia is somebody that you can pick off the waivers potentially. They did have a bye this last week, so take a peek at that, getting after the New York Giants and Daniel Turnover Jones over there. And then on the New York Giants side, on the defense, if we look at their defense, 16th in the pass rush, so kind of middle of the road pass rush, but Philadelphia 31st in offensive pass protection, second to the worst in the league. Also, their run blocking is not very good, and the Giants not that bad against the run either. They're kind of middle of the road there for both. Kind of surprising to most people that their defense isn't that bad. And against Philadelphia, they might get a few turnovers there, so keep that in mind. And those are the only 2 plays I have note based off of the adjusted line play here. Next game, Tampa Bay at Carolina. We have a 50.5 point total there, so a pretty decent total. We have Carolina at 4.5 point underdogs at home. And of note on here is the Tampa Bay pass attack. If we go and look at the offensive pass protection, 5th, so top 5 in the league. Carolina 26th in pass rush defense. They are towards the bottom end of generating pressure and getting sacks on the quarterback. Tom Brady just got destroyed by New Orleans, and I think he's going to be upset and looking to light the world on fire. And I think this is a smash spot for Tom Brady to get right. And there are 2 options if you're super desperate or if you're in a super deep league. Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller might be sitting there on your waivers. I would prioritize Scotty Miller over Tyler Johnson. But if they're going to be putting up a ton of points and scoring on Carolina, which is possible with the amount of time that it looks like they're going to have, I would say those guys are super deep options if you want to roll the dice with them. Denver, Las Vegas, there wasn't anything of note for the adjusted line play there. Same with the Buffalo, Arizona game, nothing of note. That doesn't mean that there's nobody you can pick up from those teams. It's just nothing popping out based off of the adjusted line play report here. In Seattle at Los Angeles Rams, we have the Los Angeles pass attack here. So if we look at their pass protection, they are number 1 in the league in adjusted sack rate there. Seattle 21st. They finally got out of the red as far as their pass protection. They just don't generate a lot of pressure on the quarterback in general. And it looks like the Rams are first in offensive pass protection. They do have 2 options if they're going to be passing the ball. On the wide receiver side, which is Josh Reynolds and Van Jefferson. Josh Reynolds has been getting quite a bit of run out there recently, and if he's on your waivers, he's somebody that you can pick up this week and potentially sneak in a touchdown in 4 to 6 catch range there. Seattle does give up a ton of points. I do believe this is going to be a shootout. That might be the highest total on the slate too at 55.5 points. And then Van Jefferson, he's probably their 4th string wide receiver. He could get some play in there, but I wouldn't count on it. And then kind of looking at Gerald Everett as well, if you need a tight end streamer. I believe the Rams will probably pass the ball all over Seattle, and Gerald Everett, if you're super desperate at tight end or if you're in a deep league and you just need somebody to put in there, Gerald Everett is somebody that you could get in. And then looking at the Seattle run game, that is the 10th in offensive run blocking, and then the Rams are actually 25th, so that's a red-green matchup there. Seattle should be able to run on Los Angeles based off of this. If we see Chris Carson miss a game and Carlos Hyde miss the game again, we could see another DJ Dallas week, so keep your eye on that. If DJ Dallas has happened to be sitting on your waivers or somebody drops him after your waivers run, and it looks like those guys aren't going to be coming back, you could quick scoop up DJ Dallas off the waivers there. San Francisco at New Orleans. That is a 50-point total. San Francisco 9-point underdogs there. And then the only thing of note here is New Orleans pass attack. They're 3rd in offensive pass protection. San Francisco 24th in generating pressure and getting sacks on the quarterback. So the New Orleans pass attack, we have two people potentially here, which is Traquan Smith, who's getting the most run, even with Michael Thomas there. He did score last week, and that's kind of his MO. He doesn't really put up some monster, gaudy reception totals ever, but he does have a knack for finding the end zone. And then if you needed a super deep sleeper, Marquez Callaway, but his snap share went down with the Michael Thomas coming back. And then also of note, the New Orleans defense, if you look at it, it's these two here. We have a pass rush fourth, and the running defense is third. And then we look at San Francisco, they're actually towards the bottom end of the middle of the pack there. And New Orleans defense, if you need to stream somebody, would be an option as well. Next game, we have the Los Angeles Chargers at Miami, 48-point total there, and nothing of concern, nothing popping off. Everything's kind of a wash here on the adjusted line play report. Coming to the Sunday night game, which is Baltimore at New England. We have the Baltimore defense, if they would happen to be on the waivers, unlikely, but they are an option. And then just based off of that, we're looking at the pass rushers 8th. New England is not very good. They're 20th, so towards the bottom end of the middle of the pack in pass protection. Baltimore should be able to get after New Orleans in that regards, and then they're 8th in adjusted line yards for rushing, so I don't think New England's going to be able to run the ball as well as they have been on other people on Baltimore. So Baltimore defense, and then the Baltimore rushing attack. We do have a Gus Edwards that's potentially out there. Unlikely, but Dobbins might get sent to the waiver wire after his last week, which was kind of disappointing. But just the Baltimore rush attack here, if we look at the run blocking 16th, New England surprisingly bad on defense on both areas, 29th in adjusted line yards, though, against the run. Baltimore should be able to run on them pretty well, and Gus Edwards is probably the most likely beneficiary of somebody that's actually on the waiver wires for Baltimore. And then the final game, Monday night, Minnesota at Chicago. There's nothing standing out here for adjusted line play for anyone that would most likely be on the waivers. So there you have it, guys. Just to run it back real quick, Indianapolis, you want to attack that pass game, so Michael Pittman Jr. and Marcus Johnson. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, we have the Pittsburgh pass attack, so Eric Ebron likely the only one there at tight end if you need a streamer. Washington at Detroit, we have the Washington rushing attack, so McKissick, probably going to be a little bit more efficient on the ground there, and then the Washington defense. And just keep in mind with the Washington run game there, I don't expect McKissick to outrun Gibson in this game, but he is probably the passing work guy with Alex Smith there. He did get a ton of targets there, so that's the play there along with Washington defense. Houston at Cleveland, we have the Cleveland defense as a streamer. Jacksonville at Green Bay, we have the pass attack from Green Bay, so Allen Lazard, MVS, and then the Green Bay defense. Nobody on the Jacksonville side there, a screaming play. And then Philadelphia and New York Giants, both of those defenses are in play for streaming this week. Tampa Bay at Carolina, the Tampa Bay pass attack. You can super deep sleep on Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller if you are brave enough. Denver at Las Vegas, nothing. Buffalo at Arizona, nothing. Then the Rams game with Seattle there, we have the Rams passing attack, so Josh Reynolds or Van Jefferson at wide receiver. I would prioritize Josh Reynolds. And then potentially at tight end if you needed a super deep sleeper, Gerald Everett at tight end. And then the Seattle run game, if Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde are going to be out, we'd be looking at DJ Dallas as potential. He's probably on a team right now, but it's potential he gets dropped, expecting that he won't play this week. And then the San Francisco-New Orleans game, we got the New Orleans pass attack looking at Traquan Smith or Marquez Callaway if there's some sort of injury between now and then or a COVID-related thing. And then the New Orleans defense, if they're out there, you can stream them. Chargers at the Dolphins, nothing of note there. Baltimore at New England, we're looking at the Baltimore defense if they would happen to be on your waiver wires. And then the rush attack there and a potential with Gus Edwards. They should be able to run the ball there. And then rounding it out on Monday night, Minnesota at Chicago, nothing of note there. So, with that being said, that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching, guys. Good luck on the waiver wires. Appreciate the view. Bye.